russosbrand.com, where the pros are the pros.
I was gonna go on Ric Flair because
bro, he's got to stop, man. He's got to just freaking stop. Go ahead, tell the story, Ben.
So there's two different stories right now. One is he buried this pizza place in Gainesville, Florida, after he said he spent $1,500 at a pizza place. That right there is strange.
Come on, bro. That's
a little beyond inflation.
Yeah. Like, okay. But I just bought 500 pizzas. But I don't, if they had a bar there, I don't doubt that he ran up a $1,500 bar tab. I'll say that. And then based on who he is, didn't want to pay it and things got heated. But that's just me speculating. Is he buried the kitchen manager for being in the bathroom? So I don't know if that means he went in there and dropped a dirty bomb and Rick had to walk in there, or if it means that he was waiting for his food and he had to wait an extended amount of time and he's a superstar. But I guess the restaurant manager just responded on Twitter, putting over his staff that they handled the situation properly and they stand behind them for good teamwork or what have you. There was a rib response of where somebody trolled saying they were a manager of a sister company and that Flair was inebriated and he wooed in a blind grandmother's face and shit. So that made me laugh more, but that's plausible as well. Right. So there's been plenty of stories of Rick running up bar tabs like that and then trying to back his way out or pass the check on to somebody else because they got to hang out with Rick at the bar for 4 hours, you know. So,
bro, how old is he? 80 what?
8,000.
I mean, how do you get yourself in trouble at that age? Like, serious, like, come on, man. Like, really, bro? Like, oh man, bro, it's the
danger.
Much.
It's the danger of hanging on to your on-air character for a little too much, for a lot too long. And we were in TNA. I remember like even Ken Anderson and Daivari and all these guys just fawning over like how Rick lives his life and spends money and is not responsible. And they think it's the coolest thing ever.
Unbelievable, bro.
You've witnessed that, right? Many times.
Oh,
and I'm just like,
bro, you know how much money the dude borrowed from TNA and the Carters, and they never saw that money again. It's like, my bro, like when at what point is the gig up? Like, my God, bro, seriously.
Well, even did it to Arn Anderson from rumor that, right, he borrowed 25 grand, and then that was the story, and then that's why him and Arn had a falling out. And I could be wrong, but when Arn went to get the money, he was like, "You should be like thanking me because I gave you a career and all this stuff." And it's just that Ponzi scheme or that pyramid scheme or whatever he does over and over again for the robes, the Rolexes, the bar tabs, TNA companies he works for. That's what I mean. He famously said when he borrowed money off Vince and he had that match against Shawn at WrestleMania in Orlando. And literally when he came back, that check was already gone and given back to the company, which I would think is a pretty beefy check.
Yeah.
And then the other big story was that he was putting over that he went and saw his doctor, and his doctor asked him if he had had a heart attack in the last 2 years, and they diagnosed that he had the heart attack during his last match against Jarrett and Jay Lethal.
We called that, by the way, all three of us.
Yeah, where he was down and out and passed out. That's a heart attack. And there's this guy going, I want to die in the ring and live this carny. I worked the bar tab and got away with it, addicted lifestyle because I can never face who I really am or what I've lost in my life because of bad decisions, or I'm on my fifth wife. And meanwhile, NBA fucking teams are inviting him in the locker room to fucking do a promo and put it over and still sit around and get fluffed by every podcaster he can. Like, dude, that is I don't care how over and whatever, you know, I lived an incredible life that you never have. I've lived a pretty decent one and stuck to a pretty genuine moral code. I couldn't imagine being that deficient to have to be pulling these works at that age. It saddens me to think about it, to be honest with you.
You know, it's also the fact that we are, you know, all three of us have suffered that bitter, irrelevant, parasite stuff. It's the whole thing of your value as a human being is determined by your fake push and the fake matches that you fake won. And that's what Rick is. And I'll say it right off the bat. I've had one or two matches against Rick. If I could wrestle Ric Flair every single night of my entire 30+ year career, it would have been a pleasure. It would have been fun. There's nobody like him when it comes to in-ring psychology and work and being safe. But that doesn't give you a pass to be a completely shitty human being, time in and time out. And you can't just turn around and say, I was over, you're a jobber, so that gives me the right to do it. You're going to run into somebody that doesn't give a fuck about anything. And it's just like, that's a dude being an asshole who just, talked to my wife a certain way. I don't give a fuck if he's 78. I'm going to pound his head into the concrete.
Yeah.
And I think all three of us, if Ric Flair or anybody, Joe Biden, whoever it was, we're not going to be starstruck. You just said a cross thing to my wife. Now we need to go. Yeah. That's the real world, right?
Yeah.
If you're not starstruck and in some weird, like, this person is better than me because of, they believe in the fake push, right? They believe that television programming in their minds that these people are more important on the face of the planet, when really all he's doing, and the reason why he was probably the best worker, is because he's good at being a con artist. It's just that when he's got to do it in the real world, everybody else isn't in the con. You are in the ring, and that's when his true talent shines, So, but one has real world consequences. The other one is just for fun, make believe.
I saw this video clip yesterday of, I guess he was at some convention and he had on some just Liberace type sports jacket and stuff. And he's walking through the convention and the fans are parting like the Red Sea. And freaking Dolph Ziggler was at this convention signing autographs. And Flair stops in mid-track and starts cutting a promo on Dolph. I guess apparently Dolph did Flair's wife before Flair was married to her, Mimi, whatever the wife's name is.
Fifi, the Wendy
Fifi,
girl.
And in front of everyone, like, Flair's cut, and like Dolph was totally cut off guard, was trying to be nice, didn't know what to say, but it's like, my God, bro, like, when does this shit end with you, man? Like, it's unbelievable. Hogan's kind of the same way, but, Hogan may be a little bit more laid back than Flair. I don't think Hogan is so much in your face, but my God, bro, at what point is it over?
They both just, they need the validation. They need the affirmation from outside people. He's like, yeah, go ahead, Rick. Go provoke a state wrestling champion, a shooter, and see how that works out for you.
Then Ben, a third story we didn't cover. He's carrying on and on and on about not being on the Rock's documentary about who killed WCW. I saw he was petitioning No Holds Barred to put him on, and then they were going to have him on the show, and he's throwing a hissy fit about him not being included. And I'm like, bro, did you ever think that maybe you weren't included because of your track history? They didn't know whether they could believe you or not. They don't want to interview, bro, somebody that is not credible. And half of the stuff he says is true, and the other half he says is not true. And on top of that, bro, they're surely not going to pay you for that. Did you ever think of maybe that's why you weren't contacted to be on this?
Or has he already borrowed money from The Rock and didn't pay that back beforehand? And The Rock has a track record of having a very long memory because he wrote Shawn Michaels out of Young Rock. So what, he goes back possibly with that, where even, how about if Nature Boy big leagued his dad and his old man was like, fuck Rick. You never know. Like, these things can be generational.
And it's not only that, Ben. What about the plane ride from hell, which was on Vice?
Yeah.
Maybe they right. Maybe they found out things about him that they just didn't want to do business with him. But Steve, you know what the biggest problem is in wrestling across the board, bro? nobody will look in the mirror. It's never their fault. It's always somebody else, bro. And it's like, bro, there is a reason why you weren't asked to be part of this documentary, bro.
Well, that's the easy out for all wrestlers. And I've been there and I've done it. And I've had to rewire my thinking to be hyper accountable, especially post wrestling, because I think that's the danger of the Hogans, the Flairs, the Jake Roberts, when Scott Hall was here and other people. They have an echo chamber around them telling them they're not doing anything wrong. Once in a while you get, Paige or somebody that'll do it, but in the vein of they can escape. Buff Bagwell too. He can escape to a convention or an independent wrestling show or a signing where 100% of the people tell him, you never do anything wrong. And that's really dangerous. Yeah. You need to have people that are not yes men and yes women around you.
But they know they don't believe it.
Fuck I am every day, and stop doing it. So,
but they know it's not like they believe it and they believe the hype. Whether it's like you can see that they're working, right? Like it's not like they're really buying into it. So even if they did stand in front of the mirror, they're making an agreement going, we're going out there and get that money today and we'll work whoever we fucking got to either get chicks or get whatever the fuck it is we want to, because they're addicted to that more than they are anything else. And then they've racked up big bills and a lot of alimony payments and huge fucking mortgages on and Thunder and Paradise boats and whatever the fuck else, right? So, but at the end of the day, they're just fallible men. And when you start to see that based on the personas that they've created, it's a whole different universe for them.
Yo, bro, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, there's plenty more where that came from. As a matter of fact, right now, if you've never been a Patreon subscriber, you can go to patreon.com/RussoTWC and grab a free week of Russo's brand. That's right, it's free. Patreon.com/RussoTWC.
What's up, brand? This is Jeff Lane inviting you to come hang out with me over on Twitch. I'm live several nights a week playing games, classic and new, currently going through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the new Contra game, and more. So check me out, Jeff Lane 22 on Twitch.
Pick up Mike Durbin's Conan action figure, bro. Look how beautiful this thing is. I freaking love the packaging, man. Look at this. MikeDurbin.com, guys. Help Mike out, man. This is a beautiful action figure, bro. Beautiful. MikeDurbin.com.